I got another message. Another message to the criminal cartels in Mexico. You smuggled enough fentanyl across this country to kill 148,000 young Americans. You have killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. And that's when President Trump gets back in office. He's going to designate you a terrorist organization, and he's going to wipe you off the face of the earth. You're done. You're done.
You've been warned, all right? Let's move forward amicably.
Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. So Donald Trump's cabinet nominees are selections. I feel like it's the adults are back. The adults are back in charge, and it seems like it's balanced.
Yeah.
You know, but anyways, so one of his picks is, well, I know Matt Gaetz is the controversial one, but I want to talk about Tom Homan, who is the new border czar.
Yeah.
This guy is a bulldog.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Homan has brutally criticised illegals throughout the election campaign, like at the RNC, where he said the drug smuggling cartels will be wiped off the face of the earth.
You better start packing now. You're damn right. Because you're going home. I got another message. Another message to the criminal cartels in Mexico. You smuggled enough fentanyl across this country to kill 148,000 young Americans. You have killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. And that's when President Trump gets back in office. He's going to designate you a terrorist organization, and he's going to wipe you off the face of the earth. You're done. You're done.
He also clashed with AOC over illegals.
I separated that.
Mr. Homan, with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you enter the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum and go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
And he has come out of the gate firing, laying down the law on Fox News.
I've seen some of these Democratic governors say they're going to stand in the way. They're going to make it hard for us. Well, a suggestion: if you're not going to help us, get the hell out of the way, because we're going to do it. So if we can't get assistance from New York City, and we may have to double the number of agents we send to New York City, because we're going to do the job. We're going to do the job without you or with you.
Going from Kamala to this man is exactly what we need. So, Tom Homan, so y'all, this guy is not playing any games. You know, they're saying that he's just too harsh. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have all of these illegal people here. Many of them are actual criminals. Some are hardened criminals. And some are just here just for asylum seeking. Mm-hmm. And you mean to tell me that having that many people come in and out of our country, right, we shouldn't have a man like this in charge? Are you kidding me? You know,
you can't seek asylum just because you're poor.
Right.
And that's what many of them are doing. They're not coming over because they're in danger. They're coming here because they're poor.
Yeah. And they want different.
You know what I mean? And that's not a reason to seek asylum. While we give people, asylum. By the way, everybody that Trump picks is going to be a bulldog, tough, and they are all going to hate it, because the left likes they say they do, but they like compassion. Although they don't have compassion on anybody that doesn't think like them. Right. You know what I mean? So everybody that he picks is going to be really tough and really strong and really sort of no nonsense, which is what the country needs. I mean, for any successful country, business, home to succeed, you have to have strength And you have to have someone who's willing to be the protector and a person who's willing to fight. And unfortunately, the left only wants to go to war, but they don't want to fight for the country. They use this sort of compassionate way of talking to gain power because they think that everybody wants, because they think everybody's in their feelings and they want, we are the world sort of feeling is how they like to lead. But that's not real. That's not real life. In real life, you need people who are going to stand up for the country and fight and die for the country. I hate that people have to die for a country, but unfortunately, we don't have a country if there are no borders. We don't have a country if we don't have strong soldiers. We don't have a country if we aren't financially stable.
Yeah.
And so with that, it's why I'm a Republican.
Yeah.
So,
so when because I thought it was genius, like that's a good idea to deem the drug cartels, specifically the Mexican ones right now, since so close to the border and they're the most notorious of them, to deem them a terrorist organizations. That is brilliant to me, because if you do that, they really can't. I mean, like it's the punishment's harder. They won't come in for that reason. They can get on no flights. I mean, it can be a whole. It can create hell for them. You know what I mean? So I feel like that to me is one of the best things that I've heard by far. Should definitely do that. But any governor that's going to try to block any new regulations put on the country, that is the biggest mistake you can actually make. And the reason why I say that is because his picks are important, because John Trump has a mandate over his head from the American people. The American people are saying this is what we want. This is what we voted in. So in order to get this done, we're going to have people like the people that he is picking right now. So if anyone tries to block that, they're going to have a very difficult time the next election time during midterms. And, during midterms and getting themselves elected for anything.
And they didn't really care. The left didn't really care. Because Barack Obama, one thing he did do was he protected the border. They called him Deporter-in-Chief. That was his nickname. Yeah. A lot of people people that were Hispanic would protest his speaking, engagements.
People forget that.
Calling him border. They used to call him the Deporter-in-Chief because he deported a lot of people. And so all of a sudden, the left has a problem with the fact that Trump is doing it. But when Trump was in office, we had the least amount of people, and Tom Homan was the border person then. Yeah. So, I mean,
to me, this is what we
now
need.
We have a bigger job because Biden let in a lot more people. And so now we're gonna have to spend some money, to get, because the people have to be processed, and they'll be held in isolation, and then they'll be sent by their country. But I think that's what we call investment, because they have to leave. You know what I mean? Because we are spending too much money with them here. We have nowhere for them. We're giving up too much of our resources. A lot of them are criminals, and a lot of them we already know who they are that are criminals that are here. They need to go back first. They need the first ones out.
I believe there's 13. I think we mentioned that before. I think there's 13 or 14,000 illegal immigrants in this country right now that are known criminals and hardened criminals, where that's been rape, murder, these different armed robbery in their own country. So, and then doing crimes here as well. So we already know for sure there's at least 13 or 14,000 of them who need to go first, to get out of here first. But Tom Homan is like, I can't think of a more perfect person for this position than him, because this guy is something else. Like, I
don't know if you had the clip, but the clip of when he even said, she said, "Is there any way you can do this without breaking up families?" And he was like, "Yeah, send them back together."
Yeah.
I mean, and look,
I'm not gonna break up families.
We don't have to break up a family.
I'm not gonna break up a family.
Go back together.
Well, Pete Hegseth, people were, because he was the Fox News.
He's a contributor. For Fox News.
For Fox News. I think the Weekend or something. That doesn't take away from his credentials. It doesn't take away from what he's able to do, what he's done for our country already as a soldier.
America's enemies and woke Pentagon bureaucrats are on notice. President-elect Trump nominating Pete Hegseth as his Secretary of Defense. Hegseth lives and breathes the military. It's in his DNA. He's a combat vet with 20-plus years of service. He did tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, receiving 2 Bronze Stars. Hegseth also has degrees from Princeton and Harvard, but we're not going to hold that against him. Pete also literally wrote the book on how to root out the woke insanity that's weakened our military. The man knows his stuff.
So he was in combat. So, I mean, I don't know, and not even that. It's just, he understands the ins and outs and the dealings of our military on the inside. And again, it's what we need. We need someone who's been there, done that, and is going to be able to weed out the weak. Kara and I watched the podcast of Pete Hegseth and Sean Ryan. And it was a really good podcast. You guys should, I'll link it below if you guys want to watch that podcast, because it's really good. He kind of goes in detail with a lot of stuff. But in that podcast, he did talk about, because I know he got criticized for saying he doesn't believe that women should be in combat, and that made a lot of, I guess, lefties mad. And, you know, some right-wing people didn't like that because, you know, he doesn't feel that women should be in combat. And I actually believe that as well.
As everybody knows, between bone density and lung capacity and muscle strength, men and women are just different. And so if you want to, I'm okay with the idea that you maintain the standards where they are for everybody. And if there's some, you know, hard charging female that meets that standard, great, cool, join the infantry battalion. But that is not what's happened.
Yeah.
What has happened is the standards have lowered, because the general comes by and asks a question. You know what questions are when generals ask questions. They're just a command. Lieutenant or captain or major, why aren't there more women in your unit? That means get some more women in your unit now. And that moves all the way through the training pipeline. And so I'm surprised there hasn't been more blowback on that already in the book, because I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated.
I don't care about women. I mean, look, I think there are things men are just better at, and I think there are things women are better at.
Yeah.
That's how I see things. I think we were made differently for different things. We weren't made to do the same thing, you know, and the makeup of a man physically is to protect. That's why men are so strong. It's because they were meant to protect homes. They were meant to protect the country. They were soldiers. That's women are not men. Our skin is different.
Yeah.
You know, our skin is softer. Theirs is much more, you know, tough. Their bone density is different. Their lung capacity is different. Not only that, their mental makeup is different. Men are much willing to take risk in scary situations that women in general might do to save their life, but maybe not to save someone else's. You know what I mean? Just because it's not our makeup. I'm not saying women won't do that. If it was my sister, I would run into a fire and go and get her because she's my sister. You know what I mean? But there are just some things that men just automatically do because they are men, you know? And so when I think about women in combat, I'm like him. If you can be, because this is like it is in the police department, in the fire department, when they have to take the test, they lower the standards for women because that's the only way we can get women in. Otherwise, there'd be one woman.
Right.
In every, you know what I mean? But I don't care if the standards are where men, the standard of where the men are at. And I don't care if there's a woman that can make it. If she makes the standard, she made it fair and square. But if we have to lower it in jobs where they're life and death jobs like the police department, jobs like combat, jobs like fire department, those are jobs where you could lose your life. Someone else depends on you. When you call the police, you're calling someone that you needs help.
Yeah.
And if a woman can't meet the criteria of men, that means there's going to be some areas where she can't do it because she needs a man. The same thing in combat, especially since men in general, their feeling is to protect women. I can only imagine what it feels like
the distraction
combat and the distraction of a woman feeling like you want to protect her because she just is a woman.
What Pete's saying though is, so they're saying that he's misogynistic. Okay, so we all knew that was going to come. Of course. A man thinking like a man is misogynistic in 2024, of course. No, what he's saying is not misogynistic. It's not chauvinistic. It's logical. It's a very logical thinking of what he is saying. I 100% agree with him. But when we brought this subject up before with women in combat or police officers and stuff like that, the only women that ever agree with us when we say women shouldn't be in combat are usually 99% of the time women in the military, and then conservative men. So most women in the military say they don't think women should be in combat. Women have a role in the military, very important roles in the military, for sure. I think he even mentioned like a woman being a pilot, a fighter pilot or whatever it is. Like he's saying that most of the men on ground are saying they're more in support of that because it does kind of separates the distraction a bit. Because, you know what I mean? Because of physical contact.
When you're talking about combat, physical combat, it does take physical strength to be able to fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? And what if you're a woman, got to fight a man?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
The odds of you winning that fight is very low.
Yeah. Yes.
And, you know, it's just like, look, again.
I agree with them.
I just think that it's dangerous to put people in situations. You know, George Floyd was like 6'4".
He's tall, yeah.
And he was on drugs when they arrested him. Imagine if there was a woman that came and had to try to take him down. A man who's under the influence and already a big man. And then she comes up and she's like 5'5".
I just don't believe
she could take him out. The woman the women that were trying to guard President Trump when he had the assassination attempt, she was too short. Trump is like 6'4".
Yeah. Logically speaking, do you hire a 5'4" woman to to protect a 6'3" man or 2, however tall he is, man? No, that's stupid.
And because Trump is a man, he might even actually try to help her.
Yeah.
Just on instinct. You know what I'm saying? So it's a distraction. Women in general, look, I've told Danielle before, I can't stand women like to be in male spaces.
I don't like
Men
it.
don't really like to be in women's spaces.
Yeah.
We're always trying to move in on their territory. And the thing is that we pose a distraction. Even in that video where, what's his name? The host of
Sean Ryan?
Sean Ryan.
Yeah.
He went on to say, because he was also in the military.
Yes.
He went on to say that there's also a sexual distraction with women being there, and sex happens.
Yeah.
He's just like,
and drama comes with
drama
sex.
comes with it. And so, look, I mean, even Pete, is that his name, Pete? He's already had sexual allegations that were dropped. Nothing happened to it. But what I'm saying is like when you put men and women in the same space, these things happen.
Yeah.
Drama starts.
And
women are extremely emotional. Yeah. Everything triggers us. It's different. And look, I'm for a woman who wants to be a cop and she can meet all the criteria. I mean, what can I say? You know what I mean? But let's be honest. Let's be real clear. Most women are not going to meet the expectations that men have to do physically to have to be a cop, a fireman, or an officer in the army or the military, a Marine.
So when you lower the standards, you're weakening men too. You're weakening the military because then now they're not going to be going to their full potential because they're meeting women at theirs. And so that to me is already that's already the weakening of our military. We really don't need that. So again, like Kara's saying, women in men's spaces it never works out. Okay, like, and I think Pete even says on the podcast, if there's, I think he called her, he said if there's some female super soldier out there that is, like Kara's saying, meeting at the man's level, because trust you guys, listen, there are women out here who are a level of strength that is very comparable to a man's strength. However, that is the exception, that is not the rule. And in these situations, and I would say pretty much in most situations, we have to operate off of the rule, not the exception. So if the rule was that women are just as strong as men, then okay, but that's not it. There's a fraction of women that can do what men can do physically. That's the truth of it. I tell the story sometime I've told the story a couple times on our show that I work in a hotel, and I think it was during the Indy 500, and people get all liquored up and drunk and stuff, but there was a fight in one of the rooms, right? People complained, but there was a fight, and I had checked these men in, so I knew their size, I remember what they looked like. So when I got the complaint and I heard the fight going on in the room, I didn't even knock at the door. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna call the police. So I called the police to come, and help the situation. They came, a woman police officer came. Now she was about 5'4". She looked physically in shape. Like she didn't look like she wasn't in shape. She got to the room, knocked at the door. They opened the door really aggressively because she had said she's the police to open up, and they closed the door immediately. So then she called for backup. When she called for backup, her backup was a woman. Now, I'm already like, I don't know how this is going to go down. This is not going to be good. And so, the other woman comes. She's slightly taller than this one, maybe 5'7". She's a little taller, again, in shape woman. And they get into the room to try to get the guys out. So they're pulling the men out. These men are manhandling these two cops. They're so focused on their fight that they just pushed these women aside like they were just pieces of paper. It was no big deal. So then they stopped it, called for backup. Now we have 2 men, police officers coming here. Now, these men police officers were not that big, but they were men, right? Took them, I don't say, 30 seconds, maybe 30, maybe a minute to stop this fight, pull these men apart, and they were done. Got them on the ground and got them out. So this is what I'm trying to say. Whenever
I think there's more of a chance for a woman to pull out her gun,
yes,
and shoot,
right? And
because
so that should be the last
you guys
resort.
care about unarmed black men getting killed.
Yeah.
Well, if it's a woman and she feels like she can't handle a man physically, her likelihood of pulling out a gun is probably higher than if a man could really just take them up, apart. And I think it's pretty. I think it's pathetic when, look, I'm always with someone who can't admit their limits. I know, right? And people who want to keep pretending like you can do everything, whatever you want, just because you feel like it. I think that type of thinking is a very dangerous thinking. Is to put people in very bad positions. Right. When you when you don't know your limits. I know mine. I know my limits in a lot of areas. Now, are there times I push the limit? Absolutely, but I do know my limits. You know what I mean? And I think that you would need to humble yourself. And they're not humbling themselves. I think that we're setting women up to think that they're more than they are, and they're going to find themselves in positions that they hate. Because of it, because they got gaslit into thinking they were just like men. And I'm just saying, look, you gotta know your limit. You gotta know who you are. But this is not misogynistic at all. I think they also even comment on his, I think it's like the Jerusalem, a cross on his chest. So the left called that a swastika. They said that wasn't. You don't know what a swastika looks. That's not a swastika. They said that it's a swastika. And it's not a swastika. I'm like, no, he's a Christian. It's not a swastika. So they're trying to do what they're just trying to jump on all Trump's picks at this point. So that's that. But Pete, I think is perfect for this. Okay, so Tulsi is the director of national intelligence. Christy Noem is the secretary of Homeland Security. We're getting to Matt Gaetz in a second. Marco Rubio. You guys see that? I'm going to show a clip real quick of Marco Rubio.
Senator Rubio, will you call for a ceasefire?
No, I will not. On the contrary. Are you filming it? I want you guys to get this. I want them to destroy every element of Hamas they can get their hands on. These people are vicious animals who did horrifying crimes, and I hope you guys post that.
And what about the civilians that are being killed every day?
Hamas should stop hiding behind civilians, putting civilians in the way. Hamas knew that this was going to lead to this. So Hamas should stop building their military installations underneath hospitals.
So you don't care that 15,000 have died? You don't care about the babies that are being killed every day?
Horrifying. I think it's terrible, and I think Hamas is 100% to blame. That's what I think. Make sure you post that, please.
Make sure you post that.
Is Marco Rubio trying to get the comb over? I think like Donald Trump comb over? I felt that his whole personality is stronger. Remember we used to call him Marco Roboto back in the day? Trump, he called him Marco Roboto during the Republican primary debates. Now he's working for him. Now he's working for him. Okay, it's politics. But Marco Rubio was a good pick for that, I think. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Was he got Secretary of State? Yeah, that's funny that he got to be Secretary of State. That's pretty big. So RFK is the Department of Health and Human Services. What a great candidate. Okay, so he's all about the environment, physical health, mental health. So does it get better than RFK? I'm not sure it gets better than that. Yeah, that might be the best pick. Now. Now they're making a big deal out of nothing. Okay, so he was on a celebratory with Trump on the plane. I'll put the picture up here. And he was eating they were eating McDonald's, right? And so they're like, now the left is saying that, see, he's not healthy. It's insanity what they're picking at this point. They have nothing left. First of all, the problem with the food if you eat McDonald's every single day, that's a problem. Or even 3 or 4 times a week, that's when it becomes a healthy. You do you think RFK Jr. is eating McDonald's have you seen him? He's eating McDonald's on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? Honestly, even if he figures out the fast food thing, you shouldn't be eating fast food every day anyway. It's unhealthy. Right. You just shouldn't. It's true. But if you eat it once in a while, that's good. Well, that's fine. It's once in a while. I mean, it's not the end of the day. The problem is that everybody, especially with things like Postmates, everybody's just eating fast food all the time, and the food is not good. It's bad for you. You shouldn't a lot of it's very preserved. I don't even think those chicken McNuggets even have chicken in it. I think it's byproduct.
Have you guys ever seen
the beaks and the feet and everything? That's what you're eating.
Have you guys seen the documentary Super Size Me? He had a long time ago a documentary out called Super Size Me, and that is one of the best documentaries ever because he really broke down how they're making these foods, and what goes into it. You guys should watch it, but. To have someone like RFK even expect things like that, being able to maybe make our food healthier,
just the pesticides,
or at least the groceries,
the injection of, a lot of our meat is injected,
the growth hormones,
and then the pesticides that they put all over the vegetables.
Right.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
We do. I think we need that, but
Yeah. So, but anyways, I like that pick a lot. Now, the one that's the controversial one is Matt Gaetz. So Matt Gaetz is Attorney General, right? I think he picked up to be the Attorney General. Now, this is the one that they're really not happy about. Now, when I say really not happy about, it is the left altogether, and a lot of Republicans don't like him. And a lot of the reason is the reason I'm going to show you here in a second.
Congressman Gaetz offered to take us on a tour.
So one of the committees where people have a lot of information is the Appropriations Committee, because they can view almost any vector of government funding. And so, this is Mr. Rutherford's office. He's on the Ethics Committee and the Appropriations Committee. 152 stock trades. Stocks go through the roof. And, actually bought Raytheon stock the day that Russia invaded Ukraine.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, imagine if every American could make money off of war.
Yeah, setting aside the whole shame and ethics questions. How many more on our hit list here?
There are a few more. I wish there were fewer on the hit list. I wish we could only stop at one or two offices, but as it turns out, energy is a sector that sees a lot of congressional stock trading.
Sure.
And we have members who are on the Energy Subcommittee of Appropriations, like Michael Guest, chairman of the Ethics Committee, and he's traded somewhere between tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars in energy stocks. He's been buying online gaming stocks and just making a killing on them. So you would think that the people that were on the Ethics Committee would be your best allies in this fight, but indeed they're some of the most prolific traders. And not only trading, but in the case of Mr. Guest, trading in an area where he has access to energy information more so than almost any other American.
And no indication that he wants to maybe slow down, pump the brakes, recognize that there might be some appearance of impropriety here?
It seems as though the pace is only accelerating.
I like him. Okay, you got... I don't know why I like him, but anyways.
People like him, the reason why people don't like him is mostly because he's what you call a wild card.
Yeah.
He's someone who's, as you can see, his conversation flows like water because he does mean what he's saying and saying what he means, but he's a wild card in that he disrupts the already laid down foundation of how the government has been running the country for a while. And so he breaks that up. And so a lot of people don't like, that's why they didn't like Donald Trump. They didn't like Donald Trump because they couldn't control him. There was a part of whenever you have someone you can't control, you get afraid, like Princess Diana.
Yeah.
The establishment of the monarchy didn't like her because she was capable of going on news media and just
being
vulnerable.
Out there. So
usually establishments don't like people like that because it scares them. Because they can't hide anymore, they can't do deceptive things. It makes them have to stand on business and not on their own private, personal indulgence. Taking money and you work for it. Because a lot of these government people, they're much more richer after they leave. They're supposed to be public servants,
right?
But they end up making millions of dollars off, people, other companies.
And you see these stock trades and them trying to get, they're doing a lot of that, doing a lot of unethical things with stock trade and stuff. Anyways, they're trying to put him up on ethics.
And this is why people actually like people like that also.
He's, as you can see though, he actually called out Republicans.
That's why the establishment doesn't like him.
Yeah.
The reason why the public doesn't like him is because of the things he said, those zingers that he said. I don't know if you have the video. So this is what they use though, in order to prove like why they don't want him in office, is by the things that he says publicly that will turn off like women and things like that. But the truth is, that's not why they don't like him. Well, they don't like him for the first thing that we talked about.
Yes.
This is what they use, though, to get everybody on their side. You know, so all of the
he's mean.
All of the all of the public will think, oh yeah, Donald Trump's mean because he would have a guy that says things like this. Although men and women don't talk like this when the cameras aren't off. But the truth is that he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
And there is some power into people who don't seem to hide a lot of times.
So let's check out some of the things that Kara's talked about.
Why is it that the women with the least likelihood of getting pregnant are the ones most worried about having abortions? Nobody wants to impregnate you if you look like a thumb.
Is it safe to say that based off of your comments, you're suggesting that these women at these abortion rallies are ugly and overweight?
Yes.
What do you say to people who think that those comments are offensive?
Be offended.
Be offended. Yes, that's Matt Gaetz.
Like what's his name? J.D. Vance said a thing about the cat ladies. That we have a bunch of cat ladies, right? You know what I mean? Some people just don't have a pause button. And there are, look, it can always come to get you later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
But on the other hand, people who kind of are like that are people who kind of get things done.
Yes.
Because they aren't afraid of you.
They
don't care if you...
Clearly,
if you
Matt doesn't care.
Right. The people that really care all the time are the people you should be worried about, really.
Yeah.
Because those are the people who hide. Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
The ones who are nice politicians that they don't point their finger, but they put their finger here because the focus group said you're not supposed to point your finger at the audience. They don't like it. You're supposed to wear a suit. And
Those
you're
are the
supposed to talk
public
like
politicians.
this, and you speak in a certain way. Those are the people that you should kind of worry about because those are the people who play ball.
Yes.
They play ball. They're company boys. Is what they used to call them. And when you see people like this who just don't care, even a Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders had a suit that didn't fit. He was pointing his finger. He had a horrible speaking voice. You know what I mean? But people liked him because he was because to most people that's normal.
Yeah. Bernie Sanders has his suit is so ill.
You can tell his cheap suits and
he don't care.
By the way, I care about people getting the job done. That's what I care about.
I don't care about, honestly, I don't really care about the rhetoric.
Trump has a mandate. He has to get things done. Yes. And when you have a mandate, you have to hire people who are going to get things done.
That's why they got Tom in and stuff like that. Yeah. So Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are the efficiency guys. Government efficiency advisors. That's what they are. They're going to be handling the bureaucracy going on in Washington and breaking that down and breaking some things up and seeing where they can cut costs and all that, and that's also going to throw a wrench in the whole system.
And they've already started.
Because they don't want anybody tampering around with what they've been doing.
Yeah.
And see, the reason why people are upset is because this has never really been done before like this. This has never been done before.
Trump created their position.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're going to be getting paid by government because he created those jobs.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's going to be, but I mean, I think he chose the two businessmen to do things like overspending and see where it is. And they've already started. They've already started talking about things we're spending millions of dollars on that we have no reason to even spend money on.
Right.
And so they're basically trying to cut the fat. Which is what we kind of need. So, I don't know. It's exciting.
That to me is a good, if you're going to add any new position, a new made position, that is actually a wonderful position because of our national debt and, and trying to cut that down. And not to mention just the different programs. You guys, we have so many government funded programs that are just ridiculous.
What I like the most about Trump's picks is that everybody is we have a different spectrum of age. So you've got new talent and you've got wisdom. So you got like a Homan who's older and he's got wisdom and he's got a lot of work credit underneath his belt.
He's in an authoritative role too.
People who are really good but young. And this is the beginning of their career. So it's just like you see people like a Vivek who's run really great businesses. He's run a really successful business, and you see all of these different people that have really have already had a lot of success in their areas. And so I think I like that there's sort of a spectrum here of age and wisdom and a lot of great new talent.
Yeah.
That's coming out, like J.D. Vance, who's going to be, to me, a next big contender, or Vivek is going to be a next big contender, or so
yeah. But anyways, people are so uptight with this whole Trump thing. They're kind of losing their mind. John Fetterman just made a comment about like Democrats need to calm down. Like let's not lose it.
see you. You have said that Democrats shouldn't be, quote, freaking out over every single thing Trump does. Are you freaking out at all about any of these cabinet picks, I wonder?
Well, I mean, there's some that I would absolutely be excited to vote for, like my colleague from Florida or the representative from New York, of course. And then there's others that are just absolute trolls, just like Gaetz and those things. And that's why, Democrats, like Trump, that gets the kind of thing. I mean, he gets the kind of thing that he wanted, like the freak out and all of those things. And he hasn't even been, it's still not even Thanksgiving yet. And if we're having meltdowns, every tweet or every appointment and all those things, I mean, it's going to be 4 years. And just the last time I was on your network, I was warning about the jackpot. And I use that metaphor of the slot machine, the 777. And if Trump wins, then it's likely that's going to happen. He's going to get the House. We're going to have the Senate and the presidency. And the real jackpot is the Supreme Court. And that's been very clear that that's a strong conservative slant. So they can run the table right now. And at least for the next 2 years, those are the things, if you really want to be concerned about that they have the absolute ability to run the table, at least for the next 2 years. And that's what I think we should all be concerned on, not small tweets or, random kinds of appointments.
If you're trying to get your party to gain some momentum back, the one thing you shouldn't do is freak out over every single thing that's happening with Donald Trump. It makes you look weak.
Or just continue to act like you did, and for the reason why you lost. You lost because you were acting like this, and to continue this way when you know that the country really isn't on your side right now, the best thing you can do is to let Donald Trump do what he needs to do, because he does have the House, he has the Senate, he has the presidency, he'll have the Supreme Court. And so if you feel that he isn't good, he also has no excuse.
Yes. Right.
So the pressure is on Donald Trump because he has no excuse. So if you know that he has all this power and you think he sucks, well, then time will tell, because he doesn't have any reason not to succeed, actually. You know what I mean?
Let him do his plan.
But I think it's because they do think that he will do well, and if he does well, if he does really well, that will keep people from being Democrats. And that's what they get afraid of.
Yeah. We'll end this with Speaker Mike Johnson talking about his stand on this and what he believes. I actually wholeheartedly believe in what he says here.
The reason that Matt Gaetz is such an exciting pick to so many people is because he will go in and reform the Department of Justice. It desperately needs it. Look, he and I sat on the Judiciary Committee together for almost 7 years before I became Speaker of the House, and we heard the evidence. We saw the evidence of lawfare. We saw how the Department of Justice had been used for political purposes, how they targeted Catholics in some examples, and parents at school boards, and pro-life Americans. This is not what our system of justice was built to do, and Matt Gaetz will go in there and shake it up. And I think most of the American people understand that's an important function.
Would you take steps to put things into recess so those appointments could happen?
Listen, I believe in the principle of a new president being able to choose his team, and that used to not be a controversial notion. We're in a time of very divided government and a very partisan atmosphere in Washington. I wish it were not. I wish the Senate would simply do its job of advice and consent and allow the president to put the persons in his cabinet of his choosing. But if this thing bogs down, it would be a great detriment to the country, to the American people. Remember, they just delivered a mandate to the president, an overwhelming popular vote victory and of course, electoral college victory. And they have sent the message that America First policies should be the rule of the day. So the persons that the president is choosing will help with that agenda. They will take their leadership in these agencies and they will reform them as the people expect and demand. So we'll evaluate all that at the appropriate time and we'll make the appropriate decision. There may be a function for that.
Okay, well said, Speaker Mike Johnson. Well said. That's exactly how we feel. So you guys, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. So just let us know what you think about all of this, you guys. What do you think about the picks? I know we didn't name everybody, but the ones that are a little bit more controversial were the more interesting ones right now. So leave some comments below. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you guys in the next video.